Hey, friends. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Postables. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I have a very special guest returning to the podcast, a Postable favorite, Shane McInerney-O'Toole herself, the lovely Kristin Booth. Hi, Kristin. I'm thrilled to have you
Hi.
today.
I'm thrilled to be here, Nicole. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Last time we spoke was at Rama Drama in West Palm Beach 2 years ago. I had a blast singing Tim McGraw by Taylor Swift at karaoke night with you, and the whole event is such a great fan experience. Since then, you've had a lot of exciting things going on. Can you take a minute and share with us some of the projects you've been involved with?
Sure. Yeah, it's now I'm trying to remember what the last few years have brought. I guess going backwards, we just shot the two
Yep.
SSD movies, which is exciting and
Yeah.
was a great experience. And I have been working for the past little over a year since I shot Capacity, the short film that I wrote and my husband and I co-directed. He edited and I also acted in. So we've been working on that, and it's taken longer than I expected. Unfortunately, I did suffer a concussion last
No.
April. Yeah, it's okay. I'm better now.
I'm glad
But
you're better.
that took me kind of out of things for a good 3 to 4 months where I just really wasn't myself. So I needed to take that time to heal and let my brain heal. And luckily it has, and I'm fortunate because I know for some people it can be a much longer struggle and longer recovery period. So I'm very grateful that it wasn't too long. Prior to shooting Capacity, or just after shooting Capacity and prior to my concussion, I was lucky enough to land a role on a new show coming out on Amazon Prime in the fall called Cross. And it's a series based on James Patterson's novels, Alex Cross novels. And I'm really, really excited to be able to share that with everybody and also talk about it in more detail, because it's a great show. I think everyone is going to really love that show. It's already been renewed for well, they're shooting it now, second season, even prior to its premiere, which is kind of a big deal and doesn't happen very often. And I really got to sort of stretch my acting muscles there and flex and do something, play a character, a role I haven't tackled yet. So that, and I won't say more than that. But that was really, really exciting for me. I also skipped over working on Shifting Gears with my bestie, Crystal. Crystal was part of the Make Her Mark program at Hallmark, was the inaugural mentee, and her first directorial debut movie was Shifting Gears, and I was so blessed to be a part of that. And watch her shine in that role. So it's been a busy year, 2 years, and more to come.
Yes, that's amazing. I've never watched Alex Cross, but maybe I should check it out.
Well, you can't, like, you could read the books, but the series is not out yet.
It's not out yet.
Not be out until the fall.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I will look out for it. I'm really in Capacity. You wore a couple of different hats. You mentioned you starred in it and directed in it as well. What's it like being the director while also having an acting role?
It was challenging. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Really, really challenging. Luckily, I wasn't the sole director. My husband and I co-directed, so I was really able to lean on him when we were shooting scenes that I was in. When I was not in scenes, I preferred it because then I could just be a director and watch the monitors and see everything that was going on. When I'm in the scene, it's like this weird sort of feeling as an actor, because when you're in the scene acting and you're not wearing the responsibility of director, you're only focused on one thing. However, with this, I found that I had to find these two different parts of my brain. And even though I was in the scene and in the character and working as an actor and portraying the character, there was always this part of me that was also directing in my head and going, okay, I should take that back and I should redo that, or I should tell my scene partner to redo that, or maybe we're not in the right place for that. And so it was just this kind of like weird duality happening, which I've never had to do before. So it was definitely a new challenge, one that I really welcomed and enjoyed in some ways, but also found it incredibly challenging. Yeah.
I can imagine how challenging it was, but I'm sure that you did a fantastic job as both a director and an actor.
Oh, thanks, Nicole.
For any of the Postables who don't know, can you share a little bit about what Capacity is about?
Sure. Capacity is a short film that I wrote way back in 2018, about my own experience with mental illness, not dealing with family member that suffers from mental illness, and influenced by my co-star in the movie as well. She didn't write, but she helped develop the story. And it's basically two sisters, one who is in a caregiving position and the other who is ill. And instead of focusing solely or predominantly on the sister with mental illness, it's more about a story about the person who is left to clean up after and support, and what it is like when, despite knowing that someone is ill and they need you, they don't realize they're ill. I'm not doing a very good job of describing this.
You're doing a great job.
The challenge of loving someone with a mental illness, and generally when someone suffers from a mental illness, depends on which one, or but they don't realize that they are mentally ill because they're in an episode. Specifically, this one deals with bipolar and mania. And generally speaking, when someone is suffering from a manic episode, they don't realize they're suffering from a manic episode. And they think they're fine. In fact, they are flying high on life and invincible and believe that they are going to, change the world. And reality is they're very, very ill and refusing treatment. And so, personally knowing what it was like to be that person on the other side looking in and trying to help someone that you love, that's where I found my influence and motivation to tell that type of story.
It's definitely an important topic, and I'm so glad that you and your husband are bringing it to light. I'm sure it'll be very powerful. Yeah.
And I would be completely remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to again thank all the Postables that supported the crowdfunding effort. And really, my husband and I wouldn't have been able to make the film without you guys. So thank you for that. And I cannot wait to be able to share the finished product with you very, very soon.
I can't wait to see it. And I know that all the Postables can speak for that as well.
Good.
You also appeared in an episode of Murdoch Mysteries, which is a
I forgot about that.
set in the 1890s and early 1900s. Was it fun doing wardrobes from different eras? And what would your favorite wardrobe era be?
Ooh, good question. Well, anybody who really knows me knows that I love fashion, that it's a huge part of my process as an actor, always has been. I don't know, I think I told this story years and years ago, but when I first became an actor and was actively auditioning and working, I really didn't like the audition process. And I found it completely sort of overwhelming. And I needed to find a way to enjoy it, so that, because I knew it was a necessary evil, I had to audition and work if I wanted to work. So I knew it wasn't something that I could avoid, but I had to reframe it and look at it. What do I enjoy about this process, or what could I possibly enjoy about this process? And the way that I found that really worked for me was through the wardrobe and through the hair and makeup. So I would start every audition prep by sketching out, what does this character look like? What do they wear? How do they wear their hair? What kind of makeup? And it really was this little gift that I was able to give myself, because I did actually start enjoying the process of auditioning because of that, because that was my window in and doorway through. And eventually, it became something I actually looked forward to. So that being said, Murdoch Mysteries was no different. I loved the chance to be able to be in costume that was period in the early 1900s. A little tidbit is the costume designer on Murdoch Mysteries actually went to the same theater school that I went to, Ryerson Theater School, at the same time, only she was in the costuming course or program, and I was in the acting program. And so I knew her from then, and I knew she was on Murdoch for many, many, many years, and kept thinking like, oh, I really would love to get on Murdoch. One, so I get, to wear these costumes and play someone in that time period, but also because I knew I would be working with her. So that was really cool that I finally got an opportunity to work with her. And she made one of my pieces, one of the wardrobe outfits from scratch, which was so exciting for me. I love that. So yeah, and I think, I always love when I get to play a role that's very different from who I am in my real everyday life. So, costume wardrobe is obviously one of the best things. Costume wardrobe? No, period wardrobe is one of the best things for those. So I've actually been really lucky to play in a lot of different time periods. Played in the 50s, played in the 60s, I've played in the 70s, 80s. And with Murdoch, another project I did years and years ago called Salem Witch Trials, which was set in Puritan times, that was a really cool and different thing. So I don't know, the one thing that I haven't really had an opportunity to explore is futuristic wardrobe, which I think would be really, really cool, because obviously it would be designed from the mind of the wardrobe designer and made, and that would be really cool. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the super suit that I got to wear in The Boys. And that was incredible. And Michael Ground was the costume designer for that. And what he came up with was so cool. And we had over 30 fittings for that super suit. And at the end of the day, it was really, really cool to be in that and feel like a superhero.
That's amazing. Yeah, I actually watched your episodes.
Oh,
awesome.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all good.
It's just, I only say I'm sorry because it is such a departure from Signed, Sealed, Delivered and the role that I play on Signed, Sealed. So
it's all good. It's all good. And you did a fantastic job on Murdoch as well. I actually watched that a while back. One of the postables shared the link, and I watched it. I took the time to sit down and watch.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. I think for me, one of my favorite periods would be turn of the century, which is what Murdoch is, or the 50s.
Yeah. Yeah. The 50s has such a great silhouette, right? The sort of the nipped in waist and the A-line skirts and the little cardigans and cashmere sweaters.
Grease is one of my favorite movies, and that, of course, it takes place in the 50s. So,
yeah, well, there you have it.
yes. Next Friday, we are all looking forward to A Tale of Three Letters, which focuses on the Postables identifying the intended recipients of a trio of dead letters that have a personal impact on all of them. Is there anything that makes this film different from past Signed, Sealed, Delivered installments? And what are some of the fun and interesting things that happen during filming that you can share?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I would say the biggest thing that makes this one different from any of the others is that Shane and Oliver are now a married couple. So that is a whole new dynamic, which is pretty interesting and exciting for Postables to be able to witness. And I know it's something that they've been craving and looking forward to for many, many years. So, just kind of like having the gang back together after a 3-year break was probably the best thing about, shooting. But Eric and I in particular really got to explore the relationship of Shane and Oliver and explore the theme of like, what is it like when you do get married, and what is the difference between what you envision that marriage being and then the reality of what that marriage is. And I think generally speaking, that is a huge thing for people who get married. And it's a lot of the reasons why people say that first year of marriage is the hardest, because even though you fantasize about this, like, amazing honeymoon and then, life with this person and making a home with them. And it can be very, very different. And it's an adjustment period. And I think one of the things I love about the way Martha sort of tackled this is that she doesn't shy away from the challenges of being in a new marriage. Even when you think you know someone, you might still be surprised.
Yeah. How will we see that relationship progress? And is there a particular scene that is your favorite of Shane and Oliver in this film?
Oh, there's lots of them. Lots of good scenes for Shane and Oliver. I will say that this film is very Shane and Oliver centric. So there's some really, really great opportunities for them to discuss and analyze their own relationship, which they don't really like to do all that much. There's such a spectrum of emotions in this film, in A Tale of Three Letters, for both Oliver and Shane. And I would say that's what I enjoyed the most about shooting, was that I really got to push myself in those ways and really explore some tough emotions.
I'm so excited to see everything about this movie.
Well, and I was speaking with some of the gals that deliver me a podcast.
Yes, I was just watching that. Yes.
And well, there you go. And I did say that there is a lot of PDA, which I know the Postables are very much looking forward to.
Yes, I'm with Cammie. I'm here for it all.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed in that department.
What was the term she used? I'm here for the chastely hot.
Yeah.
One of the things Postables love most in this series is the porch swing conversations with Shane and Oliver, without giving too much away. And if you're able to share, is there a possibility we'll see more of that in Three Letters?
There's a possibility.
Where is Three Letters on the Martha stretching your acting skills scale? all of you mentioned that this was a challenging shoot.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. One was that we were shooting both films, both 12 and 13 simultaneously, which is called block shooting. So you had to work even harder than normally you would to make sure that your emotional continuity, like I always call it my emotional map, was that you were really in tune with that map and that you really knew where you were at each given moment in each scene, because you could get very lost very quickly and like, well, what has happened? And, not just the emotional part of it also, but the chronological letters and which letter we were dealing with when. And like I said in the other podcast that, there were times where we were shooting scenes from the first movie from 12 in the morning and then switching over to 13 in the afternoon. And so as an actor, you really had to be cognizant of, what is exactly going on at this point, what has transpired prior to this point, and when and how and what was the reaction. And so you're always trying to keep track of that. And luckily, our director, Linda Lisa, is amazing, and she worked her butt off and did a lot of that work as well. So even when our own work on that was like, I was like questioning something, I could always check in with LL and she would have the answer. So that was really, really great. That doesn't always happen. So yeah, that part was super challenging. And then I just loved, like I said earlier, the spectrum of emotion that Shane and Oliver get to explore in this one. As an actor, it's always more fun when you are more challenged. It's always more fun when you get to stretch your abilities and test those out. So this script in 12, A Tale of Three Letters, really allowed for Oliver and Shane, or Kristin and Eric, to do that.
Yes. I've said this before, but I always love the romantic, lovey-dovey stuff, but one of my favorite things is the deep, emotional, challenging scenes. And I'm excited that there will be more of that in this movie.
Yeah, I think what's great about A Tale of Three Letters is that we really give the audience a really healthy dose of both. Yeah.
In one of the trailers for A Tale of Three Letters, we see Shane and Oliver on their honeymoon. Did you and Eric do the twirl scene in one take?
No. No, we did not. However, I mean, we didn't have to, it was like, I think we got it within 3 takes. So it wasn't too, maybe more. I can't remember, but it wasn't too arduous. Like we got it fairly quickly. But yeah, I mean, trying to carry someone across a threshold and twirl them, and like we had like props and suitcases that we had to deal with and all that. Like, it's like, okay. And then what I love about when you watch something on television, as an audience, you just see the finished product. So you don't realize all the snafus that can happen, and also like the organization of it all. Like, it really is choreographed quite, down to a T, because you need to be in the right spot for the camera to catch you and be in focus. You need, you have to do this, so it's all really like a choreographed dance.
Wow. I always hoped when Shane and Oliver got married, we would see that, and I was so excited that we were getting it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a great.
I know I'm kind of giving that part away, but yes, you will get to see that.
Throughout the series, Martha always includes Easter eggs that tie back to previous films. Are there any special ones we can look out for while watching this new movie?
I'm terrible at this. I know there are. There are Easter eggs. We would talk about them. We'd be like, oh,
yes,
Easter egg, but for me to be able to recall that right now, I'm just not able to do that. I'm sorry.
It's totally all right. It's all good.
Next time we shoot, I'll like take note.
It's all good.
In anticipation for all the questions afterwards.
It's all good. The callbacks are always one of my favorite parts of the series, and the little Easter eggs.
And you definitely are going to have a couple of those for sure.
With every Signed, Sealed, Delivered episode, there is always a wonderful lesson to be learned. What do you hope audiences will take away from watching A Tale of Three Letters?
That relationships are hard work. And it doesn't matter what stage of the relationship you're in. It's all about communication and compromise and being willing to bend, and I think communication and compromise are the two big themes of A Tale of Three Letters. And not just, in a relationship between, partners, like romantic partners or married partners, but also work partners and, classmates and all of that, any type of partnership where you have to collaborate and work together with someone to achieve something or to exist in that relationship. There's always going to be challenges and compromise, and communication is huge. And I think communication is a big theme in A Tale of Three Letters. Yeah.
Communication is very important, and compromise is as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember there was one scene back in Truth Be Told, you mentioned love is hard work. And that was one of my favorite scenes from the canon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Love is hard work. I think a lot of times, in society, we're sort of fed this idea that it all is going to be fairy tale and everything's going to be fabulous and it's going to be easy. And we do see that so often in the films we watch or the TV that we watch. And I mean, things are definitely more diverse in that regard now as the content. I think people are exploring the harder aspects of these things more so than they did like 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, like I grew up on 80s movies where, girl has a crush on boy isn't really into her, and then girl does a few things differently, and all of a sudden the boy is there and they're together and it's just fabulous. And everyone lives happily ever after. Or growing up with Disney cartoons like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like reality is that relationships are hard work, and they are all about the ebb and flow, and that you have to be ready to ride a roller coaster. And if you're not ready to ride a roller coaster with someone, then you need to rethink whether or not you are able to be in a relationship.
Very true. Yes. And you also have to know yourself too before you.
Very much so. Yeah. I think that is incredibly true, that self-awareness is huge.
Yes.
And being able to admit that you're wrong, right?
Very true. Yeah.
That's hard for people. People don't want to admit when they're wrong.
I know it's hard for me at times. Yeah,
it's hard for everyone. But I think that is like the cornerstone of being a good partner is it's not about always saying, oh, it was me, or just to please the other person or make things easier.
Yeah.
But it is about looking inward and really going, you know what, like, could I have done that differently? Or did I do something maybe unintentionally that, if I look back, maybe was probably not the best choice? Then being able to admit that and say, you know what, I'm going to try to do better next time. I think that's huge, right?
It is. When you're block shooting two movies that have different dynamics, is it difficult as an actor to switch back and forth between emotional scenes and comedic scenes? And what are some of the things you do to make that work?
Well, we kind of talked about that. Like, I always have an emotional map where I break the script down scene by scene. And I often will, literally write it out as almost like a graph. And so that way I have a very quick reference to where I am in each scene and what has happened prior to that, because otherwise, you just don't have time on set, especially when you're block shooting with two movies, to go back and grab your full script and like page by page go like, okay, so what happened here? Like, you just don't have that kind of time. So the challenge, I think, for that is the homework, is doing the work prior to the shoot, right? And that's your prep. That's the work you do as an actor before you step on set. And usually that takes, weeks to do, depending on, and depending on the project and the role. Sometimes it can take months, like, depending on, how much time you're given. I know that a lot of actors who are working in feature film, these big ones that have big budgets, like if they can prep to do a role for a year, because it also involves, a physical change, or learning an accent, or a musical instrument, or that kind of stuff.
Yes. Before we start to wrap up, I have a fun Signed, Sealed, Delivered this or that game.
Oh, fun. Okay.
If you would like to play.
Yes.
You would answer as Kristin. So
okay, that's good.
Kristin
Thank you for that
not
clarification. Change. I would answer as Kristin. Okay.
Mailbox Grill or Bistro Ramon?
Mailbox Grill.
Me too. Yoo-hoo or kombucha?
Kombucha.
I've never had kombucha.
I have never had Yoo-hoo, and I don't want to.
It's very sweet. I will say that. I can't drink it a lot. It's very sweet.
No, thank you. No. Well, and Eric doesn't even drink it. It's like chocolate almond milk or something like that.
I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah. I actually, you could see if you can notice this. And this isn't A Tale of Three Letters. This is in the other one.
Okay.
To the Moon and Back. But there is a scene where it involves Yoo-hoo, and I took a sip, but I didn't actually take a sip. I faked it. So see if you can see that.
Definitely look out for that.
Yeah.
Lemon curd or meringue? Oh,
lemon curd. Absolutely.
I think I would pick that too. I don't think I've had either one.
Have you not had lemon meringue pie?
I don't even know. Maybe I have. I can't remember. If I haven't, I'll have to try it, because
I think you would remember if you had lemon meringue pie. It's a pretty special treat.
I don't think I have. No.
My dad's mom, she used to make from scratch lemon meringue pie, and it made you speechless. It was so good. So you got to search that out, Nicole. Find yourself a good lemon meringue pie.
I will. Yes. I always love a good dessert.
Because then you get the meringue and the lemon curd.
Yes. Montaldo's or the E-flat Lounge?
Ooh, good one. I'm gonna go with the E-flat Lounge.
I think I'd pick the E-flat too, because I love music.
Yeah.
Jazz or the blues? Speaking of music.
This is me, right? Not Shane.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with the blues.
That's a tough one. I probably have to say the blues too. I actually love Kev Mo's music, so.
Me too.
Camping trip or road trip?
Definitely not camping. I don't, unless it's like glamping, where it's like bougie camping, but
I'm not a big outdoors person.
I love the outdoors. I just don't want to sleep and cook in the outdoors.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like I don't want to have to like wash our pans and things in the lake.
Yeah.
And, thank you.
Yes. Same for me. That's what I meant.
And whatever I sleep in has to be somewhat secure. The idea of sleeping in a little tent out where there are bears and other things, well, mostly man. I need a lock on my door.
Yeah.
Crystal, if you ever get a chance to talk to Crystal, talk to her about what I do when I stay in a hotel by myself.
Oh, I think she told me this before. I think the first time she was on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually became an issue this time because when I got really ill shooting these movies, and at one point I passed out, like not passed out as in like, fell from standing or anything, but I lay down in the bed and I was like out. And people were production people, our producers, and everyone was trying to call me because I had just seen the doctor and they were trying to get in touch with me and they wanted to get me some medicine and some other supplies. And I wasn't answering the phone because I didn't hear it. I wasn't waking up through it. I was just like out of it. And Joel, our producer, called Crystal and said, you have to go and get into her room. You have to wake her up. And Crystal was like, I'm not going to be able to get into her room. You don't understand this. Like, she puts a chair in front of the door underneath the door handle. Like, I'm not going to be able to get in there. And yeah, anyway, luckily I heard her knocking, so she didn't have to break down the door.
Well, that's good. I'm sorry to hear you were sick, but I'm glad that you're feeling better.
It happens, we're humans, right?
Yes, very true. Yes. I think for me, camping, I went on a trip in 5th grade to Green River Preserve. That was enough for me. We slept in a cabin and we were warned about bears and mice, I think.
I went on a camping trip with an ex-boyfriend, like when I was much younger, and it was a bust because we heard, this is not a lie. This is actually what happened. We heard on the radio as we were pulling into the campgrounds that there had been an escapee from the maximum prison in the area, and everyone and I was like, nope, we are not camping. We are not going to be in a tent where we are vulnerable.
No.
And so we ended up booking like this hotel room because I was like, nope, can't do it.
That would be me too. I ended up getting scarlet fever after that trip.
Oh dear. Yeah, don't go camping again. I'm sure that's probably really rare and maybe not even related, but yeah, that leaves a bad taste in your mouth about camping for sure.
Yeah, it was a fun trip, but that just put a damper on it.
No kidding.
The original DLO or the newer one?
The original, the
Yeah.
OG, like behind you. The
Yes.
OG DLO, nothing
Yes.
will compare to that.
You can't beat the original. But
no,
the newer one is great too.
it is. Yeah.
Digital timepiece that requires nightly charging or a pocket watch / Timex?
Digital timepiece that requires nightly recharging. Yeah.
I have a watch, but I never wear it.
I have an Apple Watch too that I never wear either, which is really kind of ridiculous. Like, why did I get that? For a while, it was like the new thing, and I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
But then I was like, God, like I have no break from people telling me what to do. Even the watch tells me what to do. You've been sitting too long. Get up and move around.
I think a phone is enough for me.
Yeah.
Ballooning over Stockholm or going to the British Postal Museum?
Oh, that's a good one. Because my first initial answer was going to be ballooning because it's just more fun and it's outside, but I don't like heights. So, I think oh boy, because I would not enjoy being in the British Postal Museum, but I'm gonna have to go with British Postal Museum because I just don't think I can handle the heights.
Not me. I'm not a big fan of heights. Although I say I'm not a big fan of heights, but on my mission trip that I go on normally every summer, I've worked on a roof before. So
well that's good. That's like facing your fears. But also a roof is not nearly as high up as a balloon goes.
No, and the roofs I've worked on are not really steep. They're low.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is. They're the low angle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Homemade Valentine or store-bought Valentine?
Oh, homemade's always better.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
homemade Valentines.
Yeah.
And last one, the front porch swing or back porch swing?
Ooh. And this is Kristin, right? Not
Yes,
Shane.
this is Kristin. Yes.
I preferred the back porch swing.
Yeah, I loved in Val's the porch swing scene with the yellow roses and just the whole scenery of that.
Which was the back one,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the back one. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, there was, and actually it was a more comfortable swing too.
It looks like it was more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of my interviews, I always ask my guests to share an inspiring quote or piece of advice. Do you have a great quote or piece of advice that you would like to share?
Well, I think I'll just say, sort of, continuing on the theme, communication is the cornerstone of a good relationship.
Yes. Very true. That is great advice. And definitely something everyone should take to heart. This was so much fun. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Nicole. It's really always so nice to be here with you and share this time. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Of course. And for any of the newer postables out there, where can they find you on social media?
Oh, I am on Instagram. I am at Kristin, Kristin, and then a T, and then my last name Booth. So Kristin T. Booth. That's the same as Twitter. I recently am on Threads and TikTok, but I never really go on to either of them. Just in case.
I don't either.
I hardly ever, but I do have accounts there. So
yes, it's very hard to keep up with all these social media.
It's too much. It's too much. Also, I have tried to sort of figure out TikTok at some points, and I every time I try, I'm like, I don't know how to work this, and I give up.
I haven't even tried that.
I think it's meant for the teens.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I have 4 Instagram accounts, 3 Twitter accounts.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to juggle. I made Instagram accounts for my dogs, my parents' dog and our dog, and then I gave up on that too because it was just too much to do when you're trying to juggle, all the other things in life. Just too much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have the podcast, I have my personal, I have a Hallmark account, and I have my graphic design business.
You are a busy girl.
Yes, I am. Things can get very busy, but I'm having a lot of fun with the podcast, and hopefully I will be able to start my graphic design business soon. So.
Oh, great. I wish you the best of luck with that, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, one quick thing before I leave. So sure. How is working with your dad on the podcast going?
I'm doing it all on my own.
Right. Copy that. Sometimes it's hard to work with family.
I would love to work with my dad. He's just been busy with school and his job.
Got it.
Everything is all good. He's just got a lot on his plate.
Yes, don't we all?
Yes.
Well, tell your dad I say hi. I remember meeting him at Rama Drama, and he was a real treat. So,
yes, I will tell him. And before we go, besides the new Sign Seal Delivered and Capacity, is there any other projects we can look forward to?
Well, definitely keep your eyes open in the fall for Cross, which premieres and airs on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. All right, Postables. Well, I think that wraps up my interview with Kristin Booth. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share what you're most excited for about A Tale of Three Letters in the comments, and make sure to tune in next Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Hallmark Mystery for the premiere. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Love y'all. Bye.